I'm coming on a bit willy-nilly today, so we'll see if how this goes. I was on my walk this morning and I was thinking about action steps, and I was thinking about the difference between what my action steps might have been with my original version of my desires versus what my action steps would be now. Now that I've gotten deep into my desires and I've created all these worlds where all these different things are fulfilled. So I wanted to revisit my original desire list from the first day. I've done 10 of these videos so far. It's only been a couple weeks, but back at day one, my desire list. I make $70,000 a year right now, so tripling that, paying off my debt and saving 6 months of bills, investing into retirement, investing into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever, maintaining my current job and starting to teach my own classes every 1 to 2 weeks. I'm reading this and I'm like, wah, 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 boring. Sell my journal, give away my booklet, charge $1,200 per class, like per 6 week class, for rolling sessions. And then I have like math here, like that means this much a year, this many people, da da da. Oh God, I'm exhausted just reading that. And when I started it, I was like, oh yeah, this sounds good. The thing is, with desires in this form, so these are number bound, they're more goal-ish kind of desires, and they are also like kind of in the realm of like what I could forecast from this reality to I could do this within the next 2 years. From this perspective, reading these and imagining creating that, I feel like there are people who excel at this, by the way. They are not the people looking for manifestation work. There are people who are very good at like creating smart goals and moving toward them. And but it feels like I am pushing a cart uphill. Like I have all of this stuff I need to get to, and it's step by step, and sure I can do it, and okay, fine, and I'll get there. But it doesn't feel alive in me. It doesn't feel joyful. It doesn't feel interesting anymore. It did when I wrote it down, obviously, because they were my desires. But it feels like I'm having to move from where I am to some point in the future. And just doesn't, it feels like a heavy load. Feels like a heavy load, a heavy lift, a heavy walk. Now, manifestation does not mean there's no work involved. It really does not mean that. But it does mean the work gets to become effortless or near effortless. Like you get to be in your flow. You get to be in your zone of genius. You get to be in sync with the world and the universal forces and the people and the everything. And, things feel alive and creative and pop, 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 poppity, pop, pop. So I was listening this morning to what I recorded yesterday. And that's where I connected with, and I wasn't trying to do this, but there is a part of the journal called time travel. So I also time traveled in my desires yesterday that I was speaking to. And it was about being on retainer. People hire me for 3 months at a time. I'm on retainer. They pay me $100,000. We have a contract up front. So this is a retainer to dial in something specific in their product suite. These are entrepreneurs of different types, like coaches, manifestation coaches, business coaches, whoever they are. They, yes, do one-on-one coaching, but they also offer group offerings. And so That's what we're dialing in and dialing up. Because the more people who succeed in their offerings, the more those people are going to buy from this coach, right? And then the more those people are going to spread word of mouth. That coach gets to bring in more money. All of those people get to succeed. It just becomes this beautiful, good shit in the world, spreading. The web is expanding. So those people hiring me for one of the things that's in my zone of genius, paying me $100,000 retainer for 3 months, having a clear contract at the beginning, and I have like a standard contract. I adjust it depending on the person. That feels just so, it feels clear. It feels obvious. It feels like duh, kind of. I got to a place of like, well, yeah, sure, of course. And it feels close. I'll say that. Like it feels, I mean, even though I'm living an entirely different life from that right now, like it feels very close. And it also feels like that version of existence is now pulling me into it. So I'm not trying to like go get that. And when you're going to get something, sometimes it becomes a moving target, or oftentimes it becomes a moving target. This feels like, no, there's this version of me that's alive. It is in a timeline that is now very nearby. I've connected with it. I can see it. I can feel it. I picture, I believe it was Quantum Leap, where the guy would like he would appear in different bodies, but I think there was some kind of special effect when he would do that. Like you're, just surging to another another version of you. They're nearby. Like that's all that's happening. And it feels like that version is pulling me toward it now. That version has so much power, and I don't have to like go get it. I don't have to be like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? I am going to ask, how am I going to do that? But in a different way. So that feels way more interesting and way more manifesty than I triple my income. Like, what does that even mean? Who cares? Like, what? I don't, whatever. So, action, action. Now, the action in ecstatic manifestation, the action in the Embodied Law of Attraction journal is the first question is, what already feels that way? So in the last call, I got myself into the feeling state and I held myself there for a while. Listening to it again this morning, I got back in that feeling state. And the more often I do it, the easier it is to access. And then what in my life feels like that? Like, and I mean, I could name some words that might help, like feeling valued, yes. But it's just like an obvious value, like my value, like established, like I'm established and I'm an obvious answer. And people already talk about me as the person to go to for this thing. And so I'm kind of asking myself as I'm saying these things out loud, like, when have I had that? Have I had that? When have I had that? Under what circumstances? And I have had that. I told you I did that for 6 years and I actually became the person. I was very known for being the person to help people write their outlines for classes, which is funny because it's just one small piece of what I do. But I was known for that. People would say my name in rooms when I wasn't there, and they would share that with people. I have somebody in my life now who is saying my name in rooms when I'm not there and sharing my work, and she's actually, I just love it. Have you read Shannon's book? I love it. Um, so I have that right now. I do have that right now. And if I think about that and I go into that, I'm like, oh, that's happening. It's already happening. And then, like, how might I have more of that? And that's a good question. Like I said, I didn't prepare before I came on the call, so I don't have the answer to that right now. But how could I create more of that? More of the spaces where I'm the person people think of when blah, 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 blah. And for the moment, when you're beginning with your action steps, it doesn't have to be literally this action step is going to take me to this result, but it's how do I step into the frequency? If you've ever listened to Bashar, he says this thing. I don't listen to his alien videos because they're not interesting, but he would talk about manifestation a lot towards the beginning. And he would say this thing. He's like, joy is a complete kit. And that's what I'm saying to you. Like, all of these frequencies are a complete kit. If you are looking for ease, ease is a complete kit. The more you lean into ease, the more ease you experience. One of the people who took my course in 2024, that was her target. And it was astounding the things that she did throughout that year to create more of that. She also wanted to, she wanted attention. And so she started to do things like just go receive attention. So she would get palm reading. She would get a massage. She would get a pedicure. And then like once she started to receive that on a regular basis, because we gotta kind of train our bodies to experience what we're talking about. I've already said this, like you can sit in the feeling, but now in the 3D world, like you replicate it. Like how can you replicate it as much as possible in the 3D world? And then that's what builds all the momentum for your desires to come to you, your specific desires. But it just starts with being in the frequency. So she started doing those things for attention. Then she went on FetLife and started to get attention from men that she wanted. And then she got clearer and clearer and clearer. Here's another key component to what she did, which is brilliant. And I don't think she did this intentionally, but she found a place, FetLife, which is opulent with what she was looking for. So when you find like, I want this thing, I want ease, I want attention, I want people to be speaking my names as like the go-to person. When you find places where that is abundant, now you get to be choosy. So she did that. She found a place where there was an abundance of attention and first, she was just in conversations with people. Then she braved enough to go out and meet a couple people, and they weren't quite right. And nope, pass, pass, pass. And then she found somebody she really liked, and then that lasted for a little while. And then this was within a few months. So that was all within 2 months. And then a short time later, then she found the relationship dynamic that she has now been in for 2 years, and it is a relationship dynamic. It's atypical, and it's one she told me she wanted like back in 2020, and she didn't think was available. Like she wanted a dom man, but she also wanted a woman who was submissive to the man but dominant to her. Um, and she is now in that, and it's the safest she's ever felt. It's the best she's ever felt. It's the most fulfilled she's ever been in a relationship. And like I'm her friend, and when we talk, she has like her whole life also and the relationship. Like she and I used to relate very deeply over like our obsessions with the men that we were with at the time when we met. And she's not doing that now. Like she's just safe, secure, and fulfilled. So finding that frequency, naming that frequency, and finding as many places that you can step into that in life. That is what's going to bring that big vision to you. So, if I were trying to, again, pay off debt, I mean, to be fair, I am doing that. It's not that I'm dismissing that, but that's not a desire. So I'm already, so here's a great example. I'm already paying off debt. That is keeping me in part of the flow that I want to be in. If I were making this $100,000 a quarter retainer, and that's just for one person, like I could be on retainer for a couple people at once, you know what I'm saying? Um, if I'm in that world, my debt is paid off. So I'm doing something now on the 3D plane that is a match for what I want in my big picture and for what I want in my small picture right now. So I'm going to keep doing that. It's not a dismissal of that, but that it just feels like a lot of work when you come at it from the present moment. When you come at it from this other moment, I don't even want to say future because I feel like it's happening now, but this powerful version of you that's holding desire, then it becomes an obvious choice and it becomes effortless. Like putting my debt payment on auto so that it's just coming out every month. Easy, no problem. I do not feel a lack when I'm coming from my place of desire. So, what frequencies do I feel inside of that greater desire? And then how can I step into those frequencies as often as possible immediately in my home, in my day-to-day life, in my schedule? That's the question. I'm not going to try to answer it right now. I went into lecture mode, and if I switch, it's going to take me a while to to answer the questions. But that's the way. That's the method. That's the how. That's the action. And the question to act like, I mean, I said it, but just to recap, this version of you that's living in the fulfilled desire, what are the frequencies they're experiencing? How do they feel? How can you step into that feeling as much as possible right now? Like now. Like you might just sit differently. That's in the journal too. There's an embodiment piece in the third section. Like if that were you, how would you be sitting? Would you be upright in your spine? Would you be lounging back because everything's fine? Like change your position. On the last call, I took a phone call, a faux call of somebody who was going to be a new client who's going to give me a retainer. Like act these things out. Tell your people in your life as if the thing has happened. Maybe you want, well, I mean, I don't know. You don't have to tell them it hasn't yet. Um, you can live in Delulu for a little period of time. But how would you be walking? How would you be standing? How would you be moving? Is there a song that embodies those frequencies? What can you do that feels the same way? So get to it. Get to it, people.